1st July 2023. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this afternoon, NEC recommends state-run cash transfer programs. Interstate transport fares skyrocket days after new increase in petrol prices. Former Aviation Minister Stella Odua, others arraigned over alleged fraud. INEC recognizes Youth Party. On the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky sacks country's ambassador to UK. I am Constance Mega. The National Economic Council, NEC, has announced a number of measures to help cushion the effects of the removal of petrol subsidy and unification of the Naira. Well, some of the measures that are to be rolled out within 2 weeks include distribution of grains and fertilizer through the CBN, a 6-month cash award policy for public servants, improved funding for SMEs, and massive investment in infrastructure. Others are immediate implementation of the Energy Transition Plan from petrol to compressed natural gas (CNG) with the aim of having electric vehicles, while the respective state governments are to ensure a transparent and equitable distribution of the grains to help push down the cost of food items. Well, the grain distribution will begin on Monday. While announcing this at a media briefing with Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed and Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo, Ogun State Governor Dakpo Abiodu explained that the cash award policy will be without tax and domiciled with civil servants to help offset all outstanding obligations like leave bonuses, pensions and gratuities, and also lessen transport burden.
We also talked about ensuring that we paid our public servants outstanding liabilities, whichever way, if it's their pension, if it's their gratuities, if it's their leave bonuses, and so on and so forth. And that is a front burner item because we believe that this will really bring succor to our people.
Well, the Ogun State Governor Abiodu also said the review of the national wage was also discussed at the meeting and it will be negotiated through established structures. On his part, the Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo said NEC resolved that states and local governments come up with their own digital register through a formal and informal method that will ensure proper identification of beneficiaries.
NEC engaged with NEMA, with the CBN, and indeed with the Ministry of Agric. And we have some buffer stock that is already there with NEMA.
There are layers of work going on the economy. I'm sure the federal economic team is working hard on what the federal government will and could do. The states are also doing their own bit, so also the local government. There is quite some fiscal surplus that will be coming to the states and local government and the federal government. And we've suggested it will be nice that you can implement cash transfers subject to your financial capacity.
Apologies for the mix-up in the audio. Now, the Anambra State Governor, Chukwuma Soludo, said NEC also agreed that the cost of governance be cut down, but he did not give any specifics, but stressed that each state government was encouraged to do self-introspection to determine how best to reduce their running costs. Now, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed explained that the release of grains will be done through the CBN and NEMA.
NEC engaged with NEMA, with the CBN, and indeed with the Ministry of Agric. That is there, and Council of Directors, portion of items, grains, and so on and so forth for distribution for neighbors is free.
Well, acting CBN Governor Fala Shonubi said the government plans to increase tax revenue from the current 10 trillion naira to 25 trillion naira. While reacting to this, a former lawmaker representing Kaduna Central, Senator Shehu Sani, faulted the new measures announced by the National Economic Council. While speaking on Channels Television, Mr. Sani said the palliatives are not enough to address the poverty in the land.
The states are not equal. There are some states that are highly in debt. There are some states that have not paid the salary of their staffs. There are some states that are owing contractors. So if you simply give out these funds to state governors, they may not like to expend the whole money on palliative. They will use a portion of it for palliatives while most of it will be used to address the problems which they have inherited. Many of these governors have inherited an empty treasury and pile of debt and contracts that have not been paid.
The former lawmaker, however, called for structures to be set up specifically for the palliatives to ensure they get to the right people.
So, to me, if this is going to be very effective, there should be a separate structure set up in every state that will ensure that every kobo that goes to the issue of palliative goes down to the people. And we must avoid the mistakes of the last administration of sharing 10,000 naira, the Empower and whatever.
In the same vein, the country director of Accountability Lab, Ode Friday, has tasked Nigerians to constantly engage with their community leaders or National Assembly representatives to ensure that the government accounts for how money borrowed for palliative care is spent. Mr. Friday tells correspondent Martha Okere that it is hard to find public office holders or politicians working for the best interest of Nigeria. He says there is a need for Nigerians to stand up for themselves.
The people have to stand up for themselves and speak for themselves. I think we are going to that level where people should stand up and agree and collectively move in their own best interest. People are actually going through tough and hard times, but the palliative, like we've seen from COVID situation, will in no difference be different from what is going to happen with the palliatives for 8,000. Our currency has no value. Palliatives at 8,000 won't do any better to the citizens, but we need to find how to make drastic changes in demanding account.
But Mr. Friday also called for a cutback on the government's excesses to ensure effective governance.
Palliatives at 8,000 won't do any better to the citizens, but we need to find how to make drastic changes in demanding accountability in the government. The high cost of governance has to be curtailed because they are all at that level where citizens need to step up. You can't compare what a politician earns compared to what you and I, our cousins in our village. I'm not sure they even have up to 200 naira at this moment and what that money can do for them. So it's time for people to understand like the whole burden rests on and lies on each of us as citizens to stand up to demand accountability.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the establishment of an infrastructure support fund for the 36 states of the Federation as part of measures to cushion the effects of the removal of the petrol subsidy on the people. The approval was disclosed at the monthly meeting of the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, in Abuja yesterday. A statement by the special advisor to the president, Dele Alake, said the new infrastructure fund will enable the state to intervene and invest in the critical areas of transportation, agriculture, health, education, power and water resources. In Port Harcourt, the new increase in the price of petrol has caused a sharp increase in interstate transportation fares. Our correspondent, who visited major parks in the state, reports that a 12-seater bus from Port Harcourt to Lagos, which was about 21,500 naira, is now between 22,750 naira and 25,000 naira. A luxurious bus, which was 12,500 naira, is currently at 16,000 naira. Now, from Port Harcourt to Enugu is now between 8,000 naira to 8,500 naira. Well, those traveling to Onitsha will now have to pay 6,500 naira as against 5,000 naira. The fare to Owerri from Port Harcourt also increased from 3,500 naira to between 4,000 naira and 5,000 naira. While other routes, such as Port Harcourt to Benin, which was 6,000 naira, is now between 7,000 naira to 8,000 naira. Buses to Abuja, formerly 24,700 naira, is now between 25,500 naira to 27,000 naira. Well, some passengers spoke to our correspondent on this.
Right now we are paying 7,000 naira to Benin. The transport rate is very, very high and it's not easy. And nobody say people who they work with, they increase their pay. The thing they very annoying.
This hike in fuel price, it affects well. From Port Harcourt to you, now 5,000 will they pay.
Only I go take go Benin, they come back. Now only the money now and I go use go Benin. The rate is too high.
The fuel price of 18 is something that has affected the system. Enugu, for example, used to be 8,000, but because of that additional fuel amount, extra 500 naira was added to it.
This motor now since morning due to no passenger, no money.
Meanwhile, Nigeria Info FM spoke to some women in Port Harcourt to find out how they are coping with the current economic reality since the subsidy removal. Well, some married women said they have reduced the portion of meal they serve their family and their usual personal purchases. And some others have kept hope alive with their trust in God.
Even if we still buy the one my money can afford, I buy. The children request for this one, this and that. It's just God that is providing.
You have to really adjust and watch as the day unfolds, whatever it brings.
First thing I had to do is mindset shift for myself, for my family, for the children. Let them understand that it's not business as usual. You are not going to always get all that you want the way you used to. The fact is that we have to consciously make do with what is available.
Still to come, INEC recognizes youth party. Stay tuned.
You no longer have to miss any moment of the action. Listen to us from anywhere in
and the national commissioners today met to review the post-2023 general elections meeting in Abuja. The meeting was held at the Abuja Continental Hotel. In attendance were coalition and returning officers in the February and March general elections. INEC has bowed to pressure and finally recognized the Youth Party as a registered political party in Nigeria. The National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, in a statement, said the Commission recognized the Youth Party following an order by the Supreme Court. The Chief Press Secretary and Media Advisor to the Imo State Government, Ogwike Nwachukwu, says there are collaborative measures by the Southeast governors to tackle the issue of insecurity in the region. Mr. Nwachukwu said this on Nigeria Info FM's Morning Crossfire, and he said the Imo State government does not recognize the sit-at-home order of IPOB. He said civil servants and others who believe that the government is capable of protecting their lives and properties still go to work on those designated days. A former aviation minister, Stella Odua, her former aide, Gloria Odita, and 7 others have been arraigned before a federal high court in Abuja over fraud-related offences. They were arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on a 25-count charge bordering on conspiracy, money laundering, and maintaining anonymous bank accounts with about 5 billion naira involved. In business, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, says it will release a list of illegal, unregistered digital loan apps operating in Nigeria. Chief Executive Officer of FCCPC, Babatunde Irukera, in a statement said the commission will also delist 2 legal registered loan apps from Google Play Store for harassing Nigerians. In entertainment, former U.S. President Barack Obama released his annual summer playlist for the year, and Nigerian Grammy-winning superstar Burna Boy made the cut with his latest record, Sitting on Top of the World. Arya Star's 2023 release, Stability, also made the list. In sports, Canada's Christian Sinclair missed a chance to become the first player to score at 6 FIFA World Cups as Canada were held by Nigeria. Well, Nigeria keeper Chiamaka Nnadozie kept out Sinclair's spot kick early in the second half as the Olympic champions were frustrated in Melbourne. Well, Nigeria have 1 point in Group B behind co-hosts Australia.
And now,
we bring you news from around the world.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked his country's ambassador to the UK. Vadim Pristaiko had recently criticized the president's response to a row over gratitude for British military aid, and he had called Mr. Zelensky's promise to thank the UK defense minister every morning unhealthy sarcasm. Well, Kiev gave no official reason for the dismissal, but confirmed that Mr. Pristaiko was no longer ambassador. Well, that's the news, but before we go, another look at the highlights of the major stories. On the news this afternoon, you heard that NEC is recommending state-run cash transfer programs, and interstate transportation fares have risen days after the new increase in petrol prices. INEC has recognized the Youth Party. On the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked his country's ambassador to the UK. The news was edited by Martha Okerenkem. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this afternoon. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I'm Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good afternoon.
On your talk station, the conversation never ends.